So for this video, we're going to start working on Chapter 3 exercise. Exercise 3.1, it's on page 120 in your textbook, and you're welcome to just follow along with me. It tells us at the beginning that in the exercises for chapters 3 through 8, we're building on this town hall website. It's kind of like the one in the text, but it has well, it's different. It has the same topic, but that's really about it. This will actually help show you how similar content can be done in two different ways. It can be designed in two different ways. So if you're following along with the textbook and following along with the exercises, you're going to see basically the same, roughly the same website presented in two different ways. Presumably for two different audiences or with two different goals in mind. So keep that all in your mind as you go along. As we develop the site, we're also using the folder structure that it talks about on the top of page 120, where in Town Hall 1, it has a variety of folders. Images folder will hold the images. Speakers folder will hold pages, the HTML pages for each speaker, so on and so forth. And that's a reasonable way to organize your content. Most of the time you have folders that hold your images and a folder that holds your CSS, for example. And then let's go ahead and get started with this exercise. So we're going to open this page from our exercises folder. So wherever you've saved your working files from your text downloads, go to the exercises folder, and then we're going to open Town Hall 1. And I'm going to just right click on it and open the whole project. This tells us just to open a couple of files, but I'm going to open the entire project instead. I like to have the whole project open even if I'm not working with all of it. And I can see there my folder structure. I have the index.html at the root level, and then folders at the root level that will be used to hold other files. I need to look at index.html right now. It's almost an empty folder. I'm sorry, an empty file. It has everything that I need at the top, including the head tags, opening and closing tag, the meta tag, a title. It gave it the San Joaquin Valley Town Hall title, a link to the favicon, so it means that it probably has an image on the tab when we look at it. And then in the body, it has a space for header, space for main, and a space for footer. And all of that is held inside the HTML tags. Okay, so in this body, we're going to have a header, a main, and a footer, and it's going to look like what we see on page 121 in color, of course. Well, a little bit of color anyway. And we're going to get the content. We don't have to type it all in. A pretty common way of developing is that the developer is not the one who writes the content or writes the copy. So that's usually done by a designer or just by the client themselves, or by the client who then hands it off to somebody else who writes the copy, who then gives it to the developer to put in. So we're going to get our text from this text folder, and the C3, that's the chapter 3 content. We're going to use those chapter 6 contents later in chapter 6. But for now, we're still in chapter 3, and that has this C3 content.txt, which is in the text folder. Has all the content that we're going to need for this page. Okay, so before we bring any of that in though, let's go back to the index and code the image element. I'm on number 3 on page 120. Code the image element that gets the image at the top of the page from the images directory. So looks like I'm probably in the header now, and I'm going to type in image. And I need to have, for my image, a source, an alt and a height, but let's start with the source. Is one of the nice things about brackets is it knows that it has this folder structure, and so I can open up images from there and then select the image that I want, which is this town hall logo. Okay. And then I also need, it says alt. Alt would be the alternate text. If for some reason my image doesn't show up, or if somebody's using a screen reader, what would it say? And I'm going to just, sorry, I can't type. I'm just going to type in town hall logo. That's exactly what it is. And then it wants me to set the height attribute of the image to be 80. And then I can close that image tag. You know what? Let's go ahead and live preview this and see if it is working for us. There we go. There's our image tag. The height is 80. It has alternate text. I have a source, and the image is showing up. Image is one of those special empty tags that does not require a closing tag because there's nothing between the opening and the closing tags. So it's not necessary to make a closing image tag. In fact, if I tried, it probably would give me an error. Yeah, see that it's written in red. It's not expecting that. It's not something that can be used. So it won't let me, or it let me, but it showed it in red and showed me that there was an error. So that's number 3. Number 4, copy the text for the first 2 headings from the text file in the text folder to the header of the HTML file. Okay. So I'm coming here to the content and getting these first 2 headings, lines 1 and 2, copy, Control C, bring them over into the header, Control V. I'm going to keep my indentation nice so that I can see it. I, as the human, can look at it nicely. HTML doesn't care about indentation, but I do as a person looking at it. And I want to apply H2 to the first one and H3 to the second one. And also fix my indentation. All right, so the H2 and the H3 made some difference in what it looks like. So just using those particular tags means that now they're bold and they have space between them, and the size is bigger. The H2 is a bigger font size than the H3. And then number 5 just has me testing the page. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and do page 121. Number 6, copy all the content for the main element from the text file into the HTML file. So I'm taking everything except, no, sorry. Maybe I do want all that. Sorry, I'll go ahead and take all of that. So lines 5 through 28. And that's going in my main. So right now, of course, it doesn't look good. That's because we don't have any HTML tags on it. So this tells me to put HTML file, add an H1 tag to the heading this season's guest speakers. Down here, give that an H1. Sometimes it's really nice and sometimes it's less nice that brackets finishes out my tags for me, but it helps me to never forget to close one, so that's useful. So there's an H1, add H2 to our mission. H2. and an H2 to our ticket packages. And that's what it means by adding the tags. We're just surrounding this with the tag, but it looks like I thought that piece. Okay, I'm going to fix my indentation on the things that I've already done. And now go on to number 7, add p tags to the first block of text, and add block quote tags to the second block of text. Okay, so this San Joaquin Valley would have a p tag on it. And this one has a block quote on it. Okay. Block quote, block quote. Okay, so that's a block quote. So I can already see over in my preview that now that has some indentation. My page is looking a little bit better. It's set up a little bit better. But let's go ahead and fix my indentations over here. Notice that when I indent over here, it doesn't make any difference to my page. This, again, the indentations in HTML are only for the humans looking at it. And in number 8, add the UL and LI tags for this. So I need to surround the whole thing with a UL. That's an unordered list. And the unordered list is going to include these 3 items. So now each of these needs to have an LI. So I have 1 UL with 3 LIs. Oh, that's wild. I had 2 cursors there for a second. Okay, so now I have 3 list items inside this unordered list, and over here I notice that I have these 3 list items. Now they're stacked and also have bullets and have a little bit of tabbed space over. That's good. Let's go ahead and indent so that we see what we're looking at. I'm going to indent those one more because the list items are nested inside that UL. I think that's basically all I can do there. Number 9, format the name and month for the first speaker as one HL element with a break in the middle that rolls the speaker's name over to a second line. So I'm going to take this October and make it an H3, right? But then I'm going to close that H3 down after the name. This is what it's telling me to do. And in the middle of October, I don't want it to just go across like that. I want to have a line break. That BR tag just means that it's a line break. And that will be like a carriage return or an enter. So now I have the month and then below that, the person's name, the speaker's name. And do that for both of the next 2 speakers. I think I'm running out of time on my video, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this for now and finish doing this with my next 2 speakers. And when I come back, I'll do number 11.